Hey everyone, it's Tom Lamog, Guitars for Vets. I'm an instructor with the Cyber Chapter and for the Guitars for Vets Learning Center. Welcome to Module 1, Introduction to Acoustic Guitar. With me today are my Guitars for Vets instructor colleagues, Baldemar Zacarias and David Welch. And hey guys, it's great to have you. Thank you for joining me. And we've got a few things to get to tonight. The introduction, of course, the foundational skills, the tips, the tricks, the techniques to a brand new set of players who are just starting their journey. So thank you both for joining me today. And let's go ahead and get right into it because we've got an hour and 15 minutes, a lot of information to go through. And I don't know how many of you, if I can see a show of hands, how many of you actually made it through the ITAG Module 1 on the G4V Learning Center. Let me take a look here, and I want to take a look at the gallery. All right, so we've got a few people who actually did, and we've had a few people who are probably, if you haven't seen it or if you are interested in seeing it, what I'd like to do right now is show you where you can find this. All right. So the first thing, we're telling you about ITAG. Where do I find it? Well, if you go into the Guitars for Vets Learning Center, right? Guitars for Vets Learning Center, you've got the welcome feed, modules and more, upcoming events. And then if you scroll down under modules and more, all right, you're going to see all of our programs, all of our learning modules, and then you're going to come into ITAG Introduction to Acoustic Guitar Module number 1. And the first thing you'll want to do is click on it. And once you do, you're off and running. You're actually in the module itself, and this is what we will be talking through tonight. And as you complete one of the sections, you scroll to the bottom of that first section, and then you just go ahead and click the next item, which is down here. Next, and then it'll take you to that next portion of the lesson. So, and if you want to go back, you can navigate backwards to previous, and that's basically where you can find it. And for the next 4 weeks, what we'll be doing is we're going to go through each of these module sections. We'll do a deep dive on certain things, and then we're going to lightly touch on things that you know what, we're going to defer you to a video to watch, or maybe take a look at some of the PDFs that we create. It's explained all right there. Nothing too deep to go into. It's just nice for you to know that. Okay, so let's go ahead and first of all, let's take a look at this first section, ITAG Introduction to Module number 1. Let's talk a little bit about the program itself. There are 5 things that we are hoping that by the end of all 5 modules that you'll be able to do. And that's hold the guitar correctly, pick the strings, clearly fret notes. You're going to name the notes of the open strings, read chord charts and tabs. We're going to show you 4 to 6 open chords along with a couple of scales. We want to teach you how to transition between chords smoothly and then play 2 or 3 strumming patterns, some of the real popular strumming patterns that are there. So that is what the next few weeks that we are going to put in front of you. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the practice habit itself. And, for me, I've been in a band. I've been playing, in a band for about 15 years. And rehearsing songs, getting things ready, playing them right, singing them correctly is absolutely essential. And how did I come into that? Well, before that, as a aspiring musician, there was something called practice. It's like, if you pick up that guitar, however long that you decide to, for me, it was about a half hour a day, and learn the strumming patterns, learning the chords, learning to make clean transitions, things like that, which, it started back when I was 16 years old. And just doing that faithfully, it's kind of like working out. It's kind of like once you're on a roll, you can't wait till the next time. And that's how it worked for me. But I want to go ahead and give the opportunity to talk a little bit about this. to our instructor panel. And David, what about you? Let's talk a little bit about the regular practice habit. How did you get started into that?
So when I went through the program, I think with a lot of instructors, they tell you just need to practice for 10 to 15 minutes a day and you'll build up your calluses and you'll be good. Obviously, that's just a gateway drug, honestly, because you know that when you pick up the guitar, you're going to practice for more than 10 minutes. It's going to be
Hopefully,
10
yeah.
minutes of tuning, playing a few strings, maybe looking at your book to figure out what you're really going to practice today. Before you know it, 30 or 40 minutes has gone by and your fingers are sore and now you're good for the day kind of thing. So, I think it's kind of fun. And I even tell my students the same thing. Yeah, just practice for 10 or 15 minutes a day kind of thing, knowing full well that's not how it's really going to go kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And it's something that, Baltimore, I don't know if this is how it worked for you, but it's kind of like, all right, well, I've got 15 minutes. How am I going to fill it? I mean, did that ever cross your mind, Baltimore?
Well, it does. It does. So, like David, I mean, I graduated from Guitars for Vets in September of 2022. Before that, I would occupy my time in learning a certain chord, D chord, for instance. I would practice the D chord for a little bit. Then I would stop, relax, take a little break, and then I would go to the G chord, relax, stop, tune my guitar, go through different phases and aspects of the guitar so that I can not just concentrate on a certain thing because I was afraid that if I practice that too much, I was going to practice it wrong and then have it in my brain wrong. And I didn't want that to happen. So I would take breaks and do it right, practice, not no longer than 10, 15 minutes, and then go back to another thing. I would change it. I would vary it. Go back and tune my guitar so that I know that it's going to be sounding correctly every time that I play it.
Very good.
Yeah, that makes
So,
a lot of sense.
yeah, so let's talk about this. I mean, there's strumming. I mean, what are the things that we, as beginners, were exposed to with the guitar? I mean, I knew in my head, it's kind of like, well, I want to. At the time that I was learning to play guitar, the Eagles were the band, and it's like I want to play Tequila Sunrise. So, what does that mean? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Strumming, obviously, it's like I have no idea how that's going to work. Fretting is another, and it's kind of like I'm using two hands. And now I have to read music. I mean, these are not easy things. And you're going to feel this. I don't know about you. I was feeling a sense of frustration for weeks because it's like, oh, geez, I just want to play. But let's be realistic. And
So, along with that, Tom, frustration does have a tendency to kick in. And when that happens, it's always good to take a break. Take 5, 10-minute breaks. Go do something for the honey. Go do something for yourself. And
write
then
it
if you
down.
have time,
Yeah.
come back and practice some more. Because
Because this needs to be fun, doesn't it? Doesn't
if you
guitar?
do it, you
Oh,
doing it right.
yeah. I think I saw somewhere that saying you should practice 50% of the time and play for the other 50.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot of times guitar instructors or our program will emphasize, hey, here's some chords you should learn, but here's also Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, just
Mm-hmm.
to get you on some kind of path of playing something, just to get you going
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And for a lot of students going through the program, they have to expect that there's going to be some something to build from. You're going to lay down some foundation first. You're going to need to know how your fingers go. You're going to need to know what the chords are. You're going to need to know how to strum the guitar. Once you get there, start experimenting, use different, programs to look up music or whatnot, but you got to have that ground, that foundation first.
And it's also very personal to you. I mean, we've got 19 people on this Zoom live event, 19 different ways to approach playing guitar. In fact, you know, I would like to open up the floor to everyone, give them the opportunity, one person at a time. Maybe you can kind of raise your hand and we'll pick you. But I'd like to know what is it that you want out of playing guitar? Because this is going to help you determine your practice routine, the goals that you're going to set for yourself. But I would really like to hear maybe one or two individuals who are joining us today as to what they're looking for in becoming a guitar player. So Ken has included something. Hey, to help me write songs, Ken, what's in it for you with guitar?
Right. Yeah. So we were down South Alabama to Frank Brown Songwriters Festival, and I got inspired to start writing songs. And I came back home and started putting lyrics down that I've been thinking about, and couldn't progress because I didn't know how to play an instrument. So that's what's led me to the guitar and trying to learn that so I can, help with the writing of the songs and progress and do all of that as well.
Patrick over here's got his hand up if he wants to talk.
For me, it's learning to do something that requires me to shift my focus around. I've always had a love of guitar, never known how to play, tried to teach myself, but I don't know how to stick with it. The Guitars for Vets so far has helped me progress more than I've ever progressed, and the focus piece, moving it around, and the healing part. I know how much this helps, so
Real
sticking
good.
with it.
Awesome. Great stories, everyone, and great reasons to be picking up guitar and learning it. And we're going to help you get there. So this program, it's, again, 5 sessions, and we're going to kind of put you on an accelerated path. We're going to throw everything we can at you. And hopefully you have also applied for Guitars for Vets guitar lessons. There were a couple ways you could do that. You could either go to the G4V website itself under the cyber chapter if you happen to be more than 40 miles away from going into a physical chapter or just going into a chapter. And then we will go ahead and step you through this process for the next 4 weeks, for the next 4 Tuesdays at 5:30 Pacific. And the next thing that we're going to talk about right now, if you can grab your acoustic guitar, we're going to talk about the different parts. These are the things that it's good to know, and we talked about this last week, but I think it's important that you know where some of these key components are at, and really what's the purpose behind them. Now, first of all, we've got an acoustic guitar, all right, acoustic guitar, and an acoustic electric guitar that we're going to include in tonight's conversation. The acoustic guitar itself is just that. There's no interface to plug into an amp. It may or may not have an equalizer or a tuner or anything like that. It's just an acoustic guitar. It's just a piece of wood with the metal and the strings and all that. But before we get into that, all right, see if you've done your homework. Let's go ahead and talk about the headstock. All right, you got the headstock. I'll be the first one to say, all right, I'm going to look at really the brand name on here, and sometimes you'll even find a serial number on the back of the headstock. So when you go into the store, if you decide you want to go into the store to look around, first thing you're probably going to look at is the headstock, and on that to make sure that that's the brand that you're looking for, or the brand that you're leaving the store with, knowing that I'm going to remember that. Just check the headstock. And then you've got the tuning keys, all right, the tuning pegs, some different names for that. And this is essential for raising or lowering the tone itself to make sure that you're in pitch. The thing is, with playing guitar, absolutely essential that you're in pitch, because you want to sound good, and you certainly want, if you're accompanying other guitar players or other musicians, they're going to likely be in key. So you want to try and set that standard. You're going to be at that same pitch for every note. Very important. And when you're not, important that you retune your guitar. So you've got the tuning pegs here. And then, David, what's next?
So after you go from the head, you got the neck, the fretboard right here, which is called the fretboard because all these little metal strips right here, they're called frets. So it's the board with the frets on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And these help dictate how long your string is, which tells which conveys what kind of sound you're going to produce, the note, by telling how long your string is when you pluck it. So, for example, if I were to hit my 6th string and my guitar's in tune, it's going to sound like an E note. Well, if I put my finger further down on the fret, that's no longer an E note. That's because I have made the length of this guitar string shorter, therefore making a higher pitch, higher note. So that's kind of the premise of how a guitar works. Is basically you're manipulating the length of the guitar string to produce the note that you want to produce. So
Pretty technical, huh?
Also, it's important to understand that when you're playing open notes like that, the nut is what's holding the strings together right here at the end next to the headstock. So it's headstock, then the nut, then the fretboard.
Mm-hmm.
So open strings, nut right here.
Yeah, and hopefully, you can take a look. Everyone, take a look. From underneath the strings, maybe from the side of the neck, and you can see the string height. And that string height, that nut, is what helps determine that. That's one of the 2 features that will help you determine the height of the strings.
So if you ever hear anybody in a guitar shop bring their guitar in and they're complaining about the action's too high, the action's too low, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the string height versus the fretboard, how high the string is above the fretboard. So when they're saying my action's too high, they want that string to be brought down closer to the fretboard. So just a common term you might hear talking about guitar.
Real good. And then we get down to the body itself. You've got, really, this whole thing right here is the body. Pretty self-explanatory. But within the body itself, you've got the sound hole. All right. And if you cover the sound hole, then you're preventing the sound from coming out. There's one piece of equipment that I'm familiar with that you put in the sound hole, and that's in an acoustic electric guitar situation. And that's basically to prevent feedback from occurring. So it's I think Dan's got a what are those called, Dan?
What are they called?
Let's see if you can.
Basically, a sound hole cover or feedback buster.
Yeah, sound hole cover. Probably one of the few things that you can put in there, because what will happen is if you're playing an acoustic electric guitar and you turn your amp way up and you're near a PA speaker, and it's way too hot, you're going to hear it rumble, and that cover will prevent the sound from feeding the guitar back. So, thanks, Dan. Thank you very much, sir. It's good to see you. I'm sure we'll be seeing you later. All right. So, and then we've got the bridge. The saddle, and we've got the pins. The string pins. And those hold the string in place. And, it's good to know what these terms are called, because you may be on the phone with the guitar shop and they're going to make references to, these different items here. And if you don't know, then that's okay. You just let them know. But it's a great feeling when it's like, I turned the E string, the tuning peg for the high E string, and it's not moving, and then they'll know exactly what you're talking about. And then we come to the topic of acoustic electric guitar, and some of the additional features on top of what it is that we showed you is you actually can plug in a cable, all right, and this cable will plug into the other end will be to a guitar amp. You'll also have on my guitar, you've got. Actually, you can't see it, but inside the sound hole itself, there's some volume and tone controls and some effects as well too, and they'll go ahead and control what I'm sending out to my amplifier. But those are some of the things. Is there anything else on that electric?
Yes.
Let's see.
One very important thing that a guitar also has is strings.
What are those? Strings.
The strings are going to be wires that go from the headstock to the bridge.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely. You'll probably know what those are after you start playing them. Let's talk about frets. We're going to talk about, first of all, on the example that was provided in Module 1, it already pointed out the first fret. Well, why is it the first fret? And the first fret is because the first space, the first gap between the nut and that first fret wire is called the first fret. And to talk a little bit more about some of the numbers, and we're going to skip a little farther forward than what we have in the module, but I think it's important to know is the numbering system for the frets, the numbering system for the strings, and the numbering system for your fingers. I'm going to show this this graphic here real quick, and we'll start with the string names and how those string names also tie into the number. So, Baldemar, you want to speak to this one? Are you comfortable with that?
Of course.
Go ahead,
All right.
Baldemar.
All right, great. So as Tom was saying, we're going to have numbers for frets. We're going to have numbers for strings. We're also going to have letters for strings. And so as you can see on that illustration right there, E is going to be your sixth string, the one closer. There you go, the one closer to the A right there. The E string, that's going to be your sixth string. Then we're going to go to the A string. That's going to be your fifth string. D string, fourth, G, third, B, second, and then E again, that's going to be at another octave, but that's going to be the high E string. Then thereafter, if we go from that high E string down, that's going to be your first fret, right there where the cursor's at. Then we're going to go down one more, that's going to be your second fret. Then we go down one more, that's going to be your third fret. So that first string is going to be the one closer to the ground, right there. As you're looking at it right there, that's going to be the string closer to the ground. Then the low E string, the sixth string right there is going to be closer to your chin as you're holding your guitar.
Good.
Right.
Let me stop you for just a second here. This is the audience participation section. So grab your guitar and I want you to show us, all right? I want you to show us the first string, string number 1. Point to the first string. Is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Nope. Is it this one? Where my fingertip is? It should be the thinnest string. That's string 1, right? String
And
1.
his finger's going to be on string 1, fret 1.
You got it. Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, but I should probably hold it the right way. Like that with my fretting hand.
The thinner the string, the smaller the number. The thicker the string, the bigger the number.
There you go. All right, let's go to string number 4 on the first fret. String number 4 on the first fret. All right. And I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 on the first fret. So that is the 4th string on the first fret. Let's see it. Let's see it, everyone. I'm looking. Good. Very good. All right. David, pick a number. A string.
Let's go string 4 on the 3rd fret.
All right. So 4th string. And then we're going to count to the 3rd fret. So this is 1st fret, 2nd fret, and 3rd fret. It should be right there. Right? Hopefully that's where you're at. Okay, let's change it up. Let's try it now with the second finger. Second finger on the 6th string of the 1st fret. Second finger. All right, that's your middle finger. 6th string and the 2nd fret. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to make any gestures there, but
I ran into the same problem. I was like, wait.
For reference, everybody, remember first finger, second finger, third finger, and pinky is the fourth finger.
That's right. That's right.
First, second, third, fourth for reference.
Hey, everyone, first finger. Show us. First finger. And the second finger. Yes. Third finger. And the fourth finger.
I get balloons.
You got balloons. 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course your thumb. There you go.
And T for bonus.
T for
T for
bonus.
bonus.
There you go. And you may end up, I know I do. I use my thumb when I play as well too. So you'll definitely, keep that in mind. That's kind of like the bonus, bonus digit, if you will. Okay, so now let's we've got the numbers down: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. Now, how do we memorize? How do we memorize these string names? It's kind of like it's only six strings. Is it that difficult?
Here's where it can be confusing for a lot of people. So our strings go 1 to 6 up. Now, a lot of people name their strings going down. So like in my case, I name mine Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye, Eddie. That's the way I remember those strings going down.
So
You hold mine again. Easter Bunny.
Yoder, did you say
Yeah,
something?
started from the first string. Easter Bunny gets drunk at Easter.
Easter. Okay, so that would be the reverse order.
Yeah.
High E, Easter. But there you go. Yeah.
I'll start from the bottom now, just because we go from the bottom.
Wow. I'm just curious. You're one of the few that have memorized it in reverse order. I'm curious as to why.
Well,
Works for you.
I also memorize it as well because I know they're both E's. Then I know Bee Gees. My wife likes the Bee Gees. Bee Gees. My name's David D.A. But basically, Easter Bunny gets drunk.
Very good. Again, this is all very personal to the guitar player, and if if you have an acronym, if there's a little phrase that you can remember it by, use it. And if you prefer to just look it up on your mobile device, I mean, you can easily do that as well too. But here's the thing: the takeaway from all of this is you have to learn them. You have to learn what the string names are. Absolutely essential, because if you are not in the right key on each of those strings and you're using a fingering position for like a G chord and you're not playing a G chord, then what are you playing? And you'll probably not fit in. It's not going to blend in with whatever everyone else is doing as well. Okay, so those are the string names. Learn them, please. Absolutely essential. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the questions here, see if there's anything going on. Claire, I've been wanting to play better, using better techniques, and stick with it for life, so no more putting it down and leaving it in the room. Oh, I've got mine hanging, because it's kind of like there's
Let me say something about that, Tom.
Go ahead, Baldemar.
So the guitar, learning how to play the guitar so that you do not fall into that category into where you frustrated and then you drop it. Think of it as if you ever went to high school and you had typing class, you know that you're not going to learn typing in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's going to take a long time. And for you to be able to get proficient and real good at typing, you're just going to have to keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. That's the same way it's going to work for the guitar for most people. Some do pick it up and get it right away, but some of us struggle. So as long as you keep practicing, practice, put it down, do not get frustrated with it, come back to it, practice some more, you're going to get it. Trust me.
It really is repetition, right? The more that you practice, really, the sooner you achieve your goals. And whatever those goals may be, whether it be, I want to play clean notes. If that is the goal, great. Because we all kind of want to learn to play clean notes. It's a very simple goal. Or maybe you're farther along and it's like, I'd like to play, bar chords. I want to start to learn to play bar chords, and then you focus in on that. The thing is that it's not an overnight thing. It is something, just like Baldemar said, it's really, you have to keep at it. And if you practice 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, great. If you decide you want to play more, by all means, do it. Whatever is comfortable for you.
A lot of people say practice every day, practice every day, practice every day. It does not hurt to take 1 day or 2 days break, because that's gonna let you, relax. It's gonna let you take a little break from the guitar. Now you come back with it, and then you're gonna want to keep doing it. You're gonna want to keep doing it.
Well, I was gonna say, I was gonna add to that also. When you're practicing the guitar, you don't have to look at it as a piano class or something else where you have to be, these are my scales, this is what I gotta do. I mean, there's times where you can be very constructive at working at a specific thing and learning a specific thing, but realistically, the whole point of it is to have fun with it. So if you're spending a day for 10, 15, 45 minutes goofing off on it, believe it or not, you actually got something out of it. A lot of times you would be surprised what you got out of it. I say a lot of students within their first few months within the program, just putting your hands on the guitar is developing a lot of things, whether you know or not. It's developing your muscle memory for where the strings lie on your fingers. You're developing your finger strength and your muscles and your dexterity in your hands. You're developing those calluses. So without you having to go through a regimen of, I'm going to practice scales or I'm going to do this or that or whatever, just goofing off with it is developing a lot of stuff in itself, just doing that. So don't ever feel like you need to be pressured or get frustrated with it because you're not practicing rigidly. That should never be the point of it. You should definitely have fun with it and goof off with it.
Let's move on to the next topic, and that is the posture for playing guitar. And then once we get through the posture, then David's going to step us through, hand, wrist, finger posture. So we're going to clump this all into this section. So for posture, what you need to know is this, is that there is a correct way to sit, and that is if you're sitting in a chair, back straight, all right, and you're going to put your guitar, the way I do it, I play it in the standard position. This little hump here, it's going to sit right on my left leg. Have you got it, Baltimore? Go ahead. Can you hold this? So that's how you're holding a standard, position for holding the guitar. And then to do a classical, depending on what kind of player you want to be, move that towards the middle of your legs. And then it's, you're going to have the headstock somewhere around shoulder level. All right. It's going to be something like that, but it really depends on the style and your personal preference. It may not be, at the shoulder level. It might be a little higher because you prefer it that way. Again, these are all just tips, general tips, but if you have a different way it's more comfortable, then by all means, then go ahead and do it. And this is seated. So you got your back straight. You have to be able to move your arms. You are holding the guitar with it resting on your left leg or in the center position. And your feet are on the ground, preferably on the ground. Sometimes you sit on a stool, and then, just make sure that those feet are hanging onto that, the edge there of the stand. Or if you get yourself one of those foot stands, you can rest your foot on that as well too. And so there you go. Make sure that when you sit down that you are thinking about posture, because if you're playing around and you can't fret the chords or you can't move your hands to accurately strum, then that's a choice that you make. And if you're going to play guitar, make it fun, make it right. And and you're going to sound great. Yeah, Baldemar.
Along with posture, don't forget to play your guitar standing up also, because if you don't, you're probably gonna have a hard time later on trying to learn it. Occasionally get up off your seat and play standing up, and then you'll be able to
Yeah,
You will be able to add an additional element to the guitar playing, which is standing up and sitting down.
so if you're going to stand and play, I see that you've got an accessory there that Guitar Servettes will provide upon graduation, and that's the strap. And the strap, there's several different versions of that. The one that Baldemar is showing, go ahead and show us that strap again. It's going to go onto a strap pin for one. Okay, one end is going to go on there's a pin down here, a strap pin, just like he's showing you. And then the other end, he's going to tie around the neck, the headstock, in that area there. Or you may have a second strap pin. For me, I've got that as well here. But you'll definitely want to make sure that the length of the strap is comfortable for you to be able to strum. And that position of the guitar has to be, again, that headstock should be at shoulder height. It should be at shoulder height. And you should be able to, just like Baldemar showing, being able to comfortably strum. All right. So give that a try. Highly recommended. If you're able to stand and play, you could pretend to be a rock star. You can actually pretend you're standing behind a microphone and you could just have at it. You can sit down as well too, which is kind of fun. But standing is a lot of fun too. So keep that one in mind. And now to go into really a deeper dive on, all right, what about the fretting hand? How do we position the fretting hand and move these fingers to the position that they need to be in to play? David, you want to talk about that?
Sure. All right. So first foremost, before I get into exactly how, I guess I'll preference with this. So everybody has different hands, is a different height, using a different guitar shape. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. But the biggest thing that you can do while learning the guitar and playing the guitar is be in a position where you're relaxed and comfortable is the biggest thing. So this angle is exactly how I go about playing the guitar. So once, like Tom said, you have your guitar, you put it on your leg. Tom's the left-handed, so he's got his guitar on his left leg, and I'm right-handed, so I have it on my right leg. Now, the next thing that you're going to start doing when you first pick up the guitar and people are telling you that you got to play these chords is you're going to start doing this a lot. This is not good. This is how you get carpal tunnel. This is how you get really tired and you can't play for a long period of time by bending your wrist like this. So you want to look at your wrist, your hand, all of this as a rubber band. All of this is a rubber band. So you know that to play your chords, you're going to have to curl your fingers on top of your strings. But if you're doing this also, you're stretching the rubber band even more, which means that you're going to get tired a lot quicker and you're not going to be able to play as much. So you want to try to avoid this. To that extent, when you're holding the guitar and you are playing, first thing to note is the guitar's against your body. This arm right here that's resting over your guitar not only strums, but it stabilizes your guitar, meaning your neck's not going anywhere. So that doesn't mean you have to grip your neck. This hand is not stabilizing your guitar. This hand is literally just the press down strings, and that is it. So knowing that this is not going anywhere because you have this arm taking care of it, what I do, and this is against the perfect, straight back, but try to keep your back straight. But if you have to lean a little forward, for me to be comfortable, I let the guitar neck meet my hand. So I'll even rest my fretting hand. I'll even rest my fretting hand sometimes on my leg. Let's get back a little bit so that I can just start playing. And this is what's comfortable. Now, to that extent, it all depends on the song and the music you're playing. It also depends on the size and shape of the guitar and who you are as a person. I am 6'4". I'm 6'4", so I'm tall. So this is fine for me. But if you are shorter, a little smaller, and you're holding this big dreadnought guitar, this might not work for you. You might have to bring it up a little bit. But like I said, the whole point of it is to make sure that your wrist doesn't do this a whole lot. There may be one or a few chords where you might have to just a little bit, kind of for a second there, kind of bend your wrist a little bit. But 99% of the time while you're playing, your wrist should be relaxed, straight with your arm, and your fingers are just curling over the top of the guitar. So if you ever get to a point, and a lot of new students do this, where when they're fretting their chords, their fingers are almost going, let's see if I can show this here. They're almost going diagonal. They're almost going along the neck because they can't get enough room to get their fingers to curl over the neck and get on top of the strings. And when that happens, they do the whole wrist thing. One way to combat that is to look at where your thumb is, look at where your neck is. If you're not have enough room to curl your fingers on top of your strings, move your neck back towards your thumb. Create that room so that you can curl your fingers on top of the strings and then be able to play.
And
it's all about room.
And everything that David is covering, as you can see, it's not just one technique fits it all. You are putting some thought into the position, not only of your strumming hand, which we're not talking about at the moment. That fretting hand's got a lot going on with the position of the wrist, the position of the fingers. Are they curling over the strings? Are they touching the strings? That's just really the fretting hand. Then the strumming hand and the arm itself, just like David had said, it's actually, you don't have to really think a whole lot about it. If you're relaxed, that guitar is going to be in place. It's going to be held up against your body correctly. And, it can then focus on strumming or picking as well, too. So are you thinking that this is an easy thing? This is going to take some time.
So one last thing to kind of put at that. A lot of you at first, you're going to look at your chords need to be built or fingered like this, where your hand is perfectly straight up and down to your guitar neck. I want you to kind of think of it like this, where your hand pivots like this to play the different chords, to finger the different chords. So I'm playing a D, I'm playing a G, I'm playing a C. So you want to have almost like this pivot motion of your hand, and that's how you're going to approach your chords, is kind of this pivot motion. You're not going to be like G and then D, where your hand just stays perfectly straight to the plane. That's not the point. And that'll actually get in the way, and you'll cause a lot of buzzing, especially on your first string. So you actually want to create this space in your palm of your hand that allows your fingers to just go straight down on the strings and move around. And that's going to be hard at first, because a lot of you, your natural reaction is going to feel like you have to grip your neck because this guitar is going to fall down any second. And you have to grip it and keep it held up around till it fall. Slowly over time, you're going to feel that your guitar is not going anywhere, because that's what this arm is doing, is keeping it from going anywhere. And you're going to, through time, stop doing that. But like I said, that's a really important part of playing the guitar, is how you look at it. Also, another thing, you saw some of the pictures. I don't play the guitar like this. The neck is not perfectly straight to my body. The neck goes out a little bit. You don't have to play it rigid, straight, and right across your body. You can let that neck go out to wherever it feels comfortable. So it doesn't have to be this rigid, thing. But
exactly.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes right along the lines of, again, it's an experience that's personal to every player. And, you're going to see maybe your favorite country or rock star, whoever, playing guitar, comparing them to another player. It's like, well, they're not kind of like doing it the same way. No, they're not, for that reason. It's because the guitar itself kind of enhances a lot of the emotion and, the way that you carry yourself physically. The guitar will do that. It's just a magical instrument, perhaps. I don't know. But for David, thank you for stepping us
no problem.
through the hand position. Now, I highly recommend going back through the module. If you haven't been through the module lesson 1, make sure to go through the videos and make sure to read the materials for a deeper dive on that. But David did explain really, some of the motions and the techniques that's going to be part of the fretting hand, even the arm that takes care of the strumming and the strumming itself. So with that said, let's see here. Let me go back to some of the comments. Let's see here. Gerald, I think that you had asked some questions. 3 tendons in your left hand, is that going to be a problem? And I think there was a response from Baldemar. I agree. It's basically when you get into the lessons with an instructor who can provide you with further guidance on that. They're very open to the fact that they're going to help you with that process. For this particular lesson, yes, we have as instructors come across individuals who had some difficulties, whether it be physical or they just weren't able to do it, and we find workarounds. Like for instance, I had a student who will not be able to play bar chords. So how did we figure out a workaround for that? We just identified the key notes that they needed to play, and if they could use 1 or 2 fingers to do it, great, and that worked out for them. So that's one of the workarounds. You don't have to play bar chords in those situations where the original songwriter uses bar chords. People will go ahead and do what they have to make it sound right and also an enjoyable, not painful experience. So yeah, keep that in mind.
I also read from Gerald that I believe that he said that he probably has no muscle memory or no muscle practice yet with his right side. So maybe he may want to try his left side if his fingers work, if all his fingers work there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say the most common thing that I run into when people ask about the program to learn the guitar, it's kind of funny, is a lot of them are like, I want to learn the guitar, and then they have their excuse. My hands are too big, my hands are too small, I have carpal tunnel. There's a few things that I will say will probably keep you from playing the guitar, and it's not going to be finger shape. It's not going to be having too big of hands, because even then we can work around it. If you've ever seen Chris Stapleton or some of these other musicians, they're big dudes. They got big hands. They still play the guitar.
They make it work. But
carpal tunnel can be a big thing. If it's on your strumming hand, not as much of a big deal. But if you have really bad carpal tunnel, where you're having problems moving your fingers a little bit, it might be bad if it's your fretting hand. That might be an issue right there. But like I said, there's very few things that'll get in your way of playing the guitar.
Real good. So now we're going to play the guitar. We're going to actually put our fingertips on the strings, on one of the strings. Let's go ahead and take the first finger, all right, and using what David was talking about and how to position your hand and your wrist and all, let's take that first finger and let's place it on the first fret, first string. First finger, first fret, first string. And let's take a look at how your hand looks. Your thumb, is it pressing in the center, the fretboard, behind the fretboard? All right. And then play it. Just go ahead and take your thumb and your strumming hand and pluck it. Is it clean? Does it sound clean? All right. If it doesn't, then maybe you need to either adjust your fingertip, make sure that the fingertip, not the meat of your finger, not the front, but the top, all right, the top of that finger is pressing down enough to make that note sound clean with your strumming hand. Does it sound like that?
Yeah, Tom, and like I said, while you're pressing and you're playing this finger, pay attention to how your hand feels, your wrist, your arm, all of it.
Absolutely.
Feel if there's any tension or if it's relaxed or whatever. Pay attention to that too.
Very good. Yeah, because this is where muscle memory comes in. Now let's go ahead and take the second finger. Take the second finger, place it on the second fret of the first string, and then pluck it with your thumb on your right hand or your strumming hand. How does that sound? How does that feel? How the fingers look? All right. I mean, my thumb is in my wrist. it feels comfortable to me. It's not painful. It should never really be painful. And until you get to bar chords, or until you played for hours and you've got calluses that are in the forming stages, that's when it's going to hurt. Let's move to the third finger.
When you're fretting a string, make sure you get as close as you possibly can to the iron wire there.
That's right. Right. So it should be right there. Second fret, first string. Let's try the third finger, first string, third fret. All right. Place that finger there. Take a look at your hand. Does it feel okay? Does it feel comfortable? Then pluck the string. How does that sound? How does it look? Is it properly positioned? Just like Baldemar said, towards the front of that fret near the wire. Not on top of it, but near it. Now let's try that fourth finger. Fourth finger, first string, fourth fret. All right. All right. How did that feel to everyone? Anyone in pain? Anyone like it?
Hey, when you throw in that pinky, it gets a little painful.
Yeah. And actually, over time, what's going to happen is that you're going to play it more, and those fingers are saying, why are you slicing it with a piece of metal? This string, it's killing me. Here's a thought. If you do not have a guitar and you're thinking of borrowing one, maybe borrow a nylon string guitar, because they're much more forgiving on your fingers. And then if you decide, okay, I'm ready to play steel string, then you've kind of worked up to that. But a nylon string guitar is much more forgiving. Okay, now let's try this on the second string. So first finger, second string, first fret. First finger, second string, first fret. And then take that thumb, play that second string. Take a look at your finger position. Is it up near the fret wire? Take a look at your hand, your wrist, your fingers. Sound clean? Not? Try it again. And then when you're clean and you're ready to move on, take that second finger, move it to the second fret, second string. Make sure it's positioned correctly. How's that thumb looking? How's that wrist looking? It's not like this, right? You're not like this. You're like comfortable, not painful.
When you're doing this, make sure that there's a small gap right here. Right here where my pen is. You better give it some gap right here.
Very good. Let's move to the third finger. Third finger, second string, third fret. And then pluck it. Okay, you guys get the idea. It should be clean, and if it's not, then you need to reposition your finger, or you need to adjust your grip. The placement of the thumb, is the wrist looking good? Move it around a little bit. Try it again. And then the fourth finger, fourth fret, second string. Okay. So we're starting what's called the chromatic scale, except we're kind of doing it in reverse. But here's what you need to know is the exercise really is you're taking each finger and you're placing them, you're assigning it to one fret. Your first finger is being assigned to the first fret and all the strings on that first fret. You're taking that second finger, you're assigning it to all the strings on the second fret. Same with the third finger, third fret and all the strings there. And then that fourth finger is going to reach and hit all of the strings on the fourth fret. And the scale itself, eventually, it's going to be, you're going to be starting from the bottom string, the sixth string, playing each of those strings or each of those frets within that string. And then once you hit that fourth finger on that fourth fret of the sixth string, you go to the fifth string. And then you're just going to, again, you're going to ascend that string the same way we've been kind of showing you. So that is the chromatic scale. And what I would like everyone to try and do right now is follow me. We're going to go one note at a time, and we're going to start with the bottom string, the sixth string, the E string, the low E string, and you just play with me, all right? I'm going to go slow.
One real quick comment here, Tom.
Yeah.
So if the string is buzzing, it's probably because your fingers are touching the other string.
Oh, yeah,
So
good point.
try to angle your finger more like in a perpendicular manner like this.
Excellent point. Yeah, so you want to only touch one string, right? You don't want to get that thud sound. You want a clean sound. Press down harder. Don't press so hard where it's like you're going to throw the note out. You don't have to press it that hard. Just press it hard enough to make the tone. All right, so here what we'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll start with the open E. We don't know the notes yet, but we do know that the open E, the low E, is that bottom string, the sixth string. So let's start with that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. No buzzing. Is it clean? Are you guys doing it? Ladies and gentlemen, are you doing it? Okay, let's move to the fifth string. Open. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we've finished the fifth string. Let's move to the fourth string. Open. 1, 2. Should be clean. 3, 4. We played all the notes on that D string, the fourth string. Let's now move to G, the third string. Open. 1, 2. Still clean. 3. All right, let's stop right there. Okay. So, any string buzzing? Anyone have problems with thuds or something other than clean? You'll want to go back and practice again. Again, the position of the finger, the wrist, the thumb, all of that. You gotta make sure that those are all coordinated. Go ahead, Baldemar.
Yes, I was gonna say that when you're practicing, you're gonna take it as slow as you can possibly take it, and then if you're practicing with a pick, try going on the open one, go down, and then on the first fret, go up, and then down, and then up.
Yeah, and you know what? It's a good point because we didn't talk about picks yet. First of all, just a show of hands, how many of you prefer to play with a pick? Raise your hand, okay? How many of you prefer to play with fingers? Raise your hand.
That's me.
Okay.
That's me.
How many of you want to do both? How many believe? Okay. So here's what I can tell you is that it's personal. It's up to you. It's if you want to play with your fingers. Guitar Servette shows you how to play with a pick. But if you want to play with the finger, you can pretend that you're holding a pick, and the way that you hold the pick is demonstrated in the module lesson. You're holding the pick and your thumb over the pick like that. All right. And again, take a look at the module lesson for a deeper explanation on how that works. Or you toss the pick and you pretend you're holding one and still play the strings like you've got one in your fingers. So now with that said, Baldemar, please continue your explanation on how we're picking those notes.
Okay, as I was saying, I mean, this is what Tom is doing is called the chromatic scale. So we're gonna open, like I was saying, I mean, my personal preference, everybody's got their different preferences on how they play their scales. But I prefer to play down, then up, down, then up, down, then up. Then when I get to the next string, I'll do the same thing. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Because what that's doing for me is creating that muscle memory on my strumming hand of where that string is.
So, a couple ways to approach this. You know, I think in the lessons for guitars for vets, how Baldemar is explaining it, we're alternating picking patterns, down, up, and each time we alternate, we're also ascending the scale. Right? Here's another one. If say for instance you're not used to the pick and you just want to practice with the pick, just try playing one note. Right? And then move to the next note. Down, up, until it sounds clean. All right? If you want to focus, I hope that you're taking notes on what you can include in your practice. This is one of those exercises. You know, practicing with a pick. Ascend, up, down, ascend, up, down. And then you just keep playing until, you know, you make it all the way up to the high E string. So that's your assignment, everyone, is you're going to either play with a pick, play with your fingers, or, you know, pretend you're holding a pick, and you're going to do the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale is going to be really the open string and then the first four frets. Now, it's not really the chromatic scale because we're throwing an extra note in there, but don't worry about it. Right now, we're just trying to get your fingers and your hands used to making notes, playing sounds, and start to coordinate playing, you know, with your left and your right hand. Okay. All right, so that's the chromatic scale. The last thing that I wanted to cover is the tuning piece of all of this. And again, this is one of those things where it goes in depth in the video, so you'll want to please watch the module lesson for tuning. But when you have finished your lessons with Guitars for Vets, you're going to be getting an electronic tuner. And you know, the way that works is it is a headstock tuner, and it's something that you attach. You know, it looks, you know, this is one of many. It attaches to the headstock, and the vibration of the guitar will identify the pitch if you're above or below, or if you're on pitch on this electronic tuner. And Paul Lilly walks you through that in the lesson, so I highly recommend making sure you go through that process. Now, I'm going to show you, we're going to go ahead and close with one more thing here in terms of tuning. Let's say, for instance, you don't have a tuner and your phone doesn't work, right? You're not picking up any signals, so you're kind of like on your own. You have just the guitar, and you're hoping that, you know, you can tune this. I'm going to show you just how we used to do this way before, you know, the idea of a headstock tuner came about. Before electronics, yeah. And for those of you who are playing 60s and 70s music with me, you'll know, you can appreciate this. We're just going to freeform it. So, you know, you can either find someone who has an instrument who can, you know, give you the tone, share the tone with you. It's like if, say, for instance, hey, can you play a low E for me? They play the low E, and then you do it by ear. You listen by ear, and you compare what it is they're playing with what you're playing. And once you get that note, so I'll say, for instance, I've got the low E, then it's basically you're going to go and find the fifth. You're going to tune the fifth string next. So you've tuned the sixth string first, best guess. Then you're going to tune the fifth string. Make sure that that fifth string is in tune. So the way to do that is you're going to take, on the sixth string, you're going to take your, I'm going to use my, you know, my middle finger here, and I'm going to go to the 5th fret, 6th string. That's an A. And I'm going to compare that with the A string. All right? I'm comparing. So let's do this together here. You're going to start with E. Take a listen to what I'm playing. All right? And then you're going to adjust with the tuning peg here a similar tone on your guitar. All right? It may take a little while for you to figure out, but when you do, then it's time to tune the fifth string. Now, before we go to that, when you're tuning, and you're going to find this a lot easier with the electronic tuner, is that you want to tune up into the pitch. So if, say, for instance, okay, you're sounding like it's a little flat, like it's a little under the pitch, and then you over tighten, the tuning peg, and now you're like above the tune. You've got to go back underneath that, the right tone itself, and try to tune up and into the pitch. It's because guitars naturally will pull and tug, and if you're going to go above the pitch itself, and then you go back into the pitch from there, what's going to happen is that it's very possible that the string will retighten and throw you out of tune again. So let's go ahead and give this a try, and then we'll call it a night here. So you're going to play the open E string, and then you're going to place your first finger, or any finger actually, on the 5th fret, 6th string, and then play that, and then play the A string, which is the 5th string. Sound right? Sound close? That's the objective. Once you get that A string tuned, then you want to tune the next string, the 4th string, or the D string. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take that finger, place it on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and that's a D, which you'll learn, and then play the D string. Do they sound the same? Does one sound sharper than the other one? Don't change the one that your finger is on, because that's the one that's in tune. You want to adjust the D string next. All right? Then we're going to tune the next string, which is the G string. So we're going to take that finger, place it on the 5th fret of the 4th string. And that's G. And then we're going to hit the G string. Is it close? Is it not? Is it sharp or flat? Then you're going to adjust the appropriate tuning peg. Next is going to be a little different. The next, we're going to tune the B string. All right, that's a 2nd string. All right, but here, in order to get the correct tone, you're going to place your finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. That's B, not the 5th fret. 4th fret on the 3rd string is a B, and then play the B string. How does that sound? Pretty close? Or do you need to make an adjustment? So far, we've done, 5, the 5th fret on the 4th, 5th, and 6th string, then the 4th fret on the 3rd string. The last string that we have to tune is the high E string. So you're going to place your finger on the 5th fret, 2nd string, and then tune that, play that against the high E string. Okay? If everything is in tune, then you're going to be kind of like, okay, I've tuned against the low E string. It may not be in tune, and you're not playing with others, but this is just for your own knowledge. You want to make sure that those strings are E, A, D, G, B, and E, or as close as you can to them, so you can make these chord shapes with your fingers. More on that in the module lesson, but hopefully the electronic tuner, you can avoid all of that. But I just want to make sure that you guys all knew that's how we used to do it, and it still works. It still works even on stage if you're deciding to perform and you don't, if your battery dies in your electronic tuner and you don't have a phone or an app or anything like that. Okay. Anyway, with that said, we are at the end of our lesson. I think we've covered just about everything in here. And gosh, next week we're going to go through modules 2 and 3. All right, 2 and 3 is going to be the subject. And what I would like to suggest you do is make sure that you go into the G4V Learning Center, take a look at Module 2 and Module 3. And let me see here. I can share my screen real quick and show you what that looks like. Let's see here. So Module 2, you guys see that? Introduction to Acoustic Guitar Module 2, how to read chord diagrams, your first chords, reinforcing proper fretting techniques and practice. So we're going to talk a little bit about, all right, chords, how are they written in a diagram so you can take that information and play them on your guitar. Your first chords, we're going to show you a couple of two-finger chords, E minor and A sus2. We're going to reinforce proper fretting technique. We're going to take a look at, again, what David was talking about in the wrist position, finger position, the fingers properly arced and not hitting any other strings. We're going to talk about practice, the importance. If you're wondering again, now that I've had a chance to go through this first module and identify my goals, write them down. And how do we create a practice plan? If you don't know how to do that, we'll talk you through that. And then on ITAG Module 3, chord transitions, 2 more chords, the G major scale and practice. So there's a lot happening there, but I think you're able to do the lessons within the week. And if you don't have a chance to do that, we'll work with you in next week's live event session to get you through that, and then hopefully you can kind of catch up. But it's important that you stick with these lessons so we can get you ready to enroll with a Guitars for Vet instructor in their graduation program and such. So, all right, everyone. If we didn't get to your question tonight, please drop us a text message in the G4V Learning Center. You can also post something on the thread as well too, and we'll get around to answering your question. Of course, you can drop me an email as well too. So thank you all tonight, and we hope to see you next week, Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, or whatever your time zone is. Have a good night, everyone.